Come on, up. Oh, yes. Want to say good morning to the people out there. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, you little thief. Stole my bacon the other morning and then got it into the sink and stole my celery. She's figured out food comes off the kitchen counter. Off. Oh. Hey, you just unplugged the space heater. Kennel. Just too damn destructive. Distractive. That's the word. Kennel. She can be destructive too. If she's bored, this breed will become destructive. That's all there is to it. If you want to get one of these dogs, that's my biggest warning. She doesn't get enough stimulation with me. I gotta work with her more. Put it on my to-do list. Good morning, folks. I started off really great, and then I realized that I did not have the Bluetooth enabled. And I've got the heater going in the background. Kennel. But I got the space heaters going too. It's nice and cozy in here. I've decided I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to burn the energy and I'm going to stay warm. When I let the temperature drop, I suffer. I get colds. I've been dealing with some intermittent sinus problem. I've tried using a CPAP machine for a while. It seemed like it was causing the problem, and when I go back to using it, I get sick like that. And this sleep clinic here in the area that I've been going to, they don't call you back. It's not very well run at all. I'm sure they're making a lot of money. It's designed up, and it's got a good appearance. I think the clinic itself that does the studies is excellent. But the other side that does selling of the machinery, I think there's some chicanery going on with them. They don't call back. So here I am. I get a sinus infection as a result of using the machine. So I can't use the machine and I can't get them to respond. And I'm tired of it. Anyway, I will eventually put a review up on Google about them, and I'm going to slam them at this point, most likely. I'm going to give them a little bit more time before I do it, because when I put my name down there, people see it, and I know that it has an impression. Mostly because I won't take anything back if I say it. Or if I'm wrong, I will admit it. Well, I started this video and I'm going to try to combine these two segments because I like the other start, provided the sound quality is halfway decent. You have to excuse me for a second. I got to plug this thing back in. I've got this place set up a little bit better, really comfortable for sleeping in the cold weather. And you folks out there better get ready because it's going to cool off quite a bit more. We're going to be going through some really cold weather. It's just the nature of the beast at this point, because this, as I've told you before, is the end of an earth age. It's not the end of the world, it's the end of an earth age. You better get that through your head. The other thing that you need to get through your head is that we need all of the energy that we can amass. Yes, we need to be stockpiling up oil. We need to be making huge tanks. We need to be refining it, and we need to have it on hand. And you'll say, well, Dr. Kent, you can't do that. It's going to destroy the planet. It's going to overheat. I got news for you. A lot more of you are going to get killed because you can't stay warm. And it's going to last for a while. From where I sit right now, this is the 5th of November, middle of the morning. I don't know what time it is exactly. All I know is I was prompted to get up and make these videos. It's the middle of the morning, pretty early. I've had 3 good periods of sleep. And as I was trying to explain to you, and I'm a little scattered because I'm trying to go too many different directions at once here. Let me stick to being warm. I like being warm. When I can't stay warm, I get more ill. My health suffers and I get really sick. And it doesn't do my spirits any good either. But I've got a full tank of propane. I made the trip into town to get that. It was expensive, but I got it, and the propane tank was not that empty. I thought it was. I've ran it for quite a while. But I wanted to buy it because I knew that the price was going to be cheaper now than it's going to be in the future, because you assholes out there, you greeny weenies, are trying to destroy us. Yeah, and you want to destroy the planet too. That's the most amazing thing. You're a bunch of jerks who just want to dominate things. You might even be that green horse that's in the Bible. You didn't know there was a green horse in the Bible? Well, I didn't either for quite a while. It was mistranslated as pale or white. If you read the original Greek, or at least what we think was original, because there's some debate over whether or not it was in Greek or Aramaic originally. If you read the original Greek, you'll see the word chloros. You know, like chlorophyll, chlorophyll, chloros, green. And that is what's going on right now, as far as I can see. I haven't read Revelations recently enough to get into it. But what I want to tell you is that, and as I started, is I didn't think Jordan Peterson understood. Well, and we'll get to the doggone heat thing. And you need the energy. You need to stockpile it right now, because during this event, people are going to need to stay warm. And the problem is that we're going to have to really build it, the storage tanks and everything, in a way that they're going to be impervious to the coming earthquakes, tsunamis, and all that. No, I'm not part of a doom cult. I'm just trying to tell you the facts. And the facts are, the earth has ages. It's approximately 12,000 years. That's the cycle. Actually, we're coming across several cycles at once. I can't remember. There's like 3 different cycles happening at the same time. However, don't panic too much. The last time this happened, this land that we're on now, the United States of America, came into being, and it was violent, it was wicked, it tore the hell out of the North American continent in particular. And that's why people weren't living here for quite a bit. And it became known as the wilderness. And this is the wilderness that Jeremiah went to. I'm just going to have to do the video and title it later and figure out which channel it's going, because I've got 2 of them to cover, and I really wanted to stick with more of the mundane stuff on this rather than going with the religious, spiritual stuff. So, you're going to want to stay warm. It's going to be harder to stay warm. It's going to be harder to stay warm and live than it is to try to cool it down. And there's no need to cool it down. The earth is going to cool down on its own. It's scheduled to do that. You're going to see it pretty soon. This will be all over in about 50 years. So you've got about 50 years to be able to get back to this level of stability that we're enjoying today. Could be 10 years less than that, but most likely it's going to be 50 years before the planet has reestablished its magnetic field with some strength. I don't know. I haven't been through one of these before. I doubt I get to go through this, because it's going to be taking some time, and I don't think I'll be around. According to the actuarial tables, they give me 8.5 more years. Yahweh's in control, of course, so that he'll give me what he wants. You want to know what your lifespan's going to be? Go look it up on Social Security at the actuarial tables. They'll tell you what your age is and what their prophecy is for you, what their prediction is for you, for your life. So we're going to go through some cooling, not some warming. Those greeny, weeny, meanie jackasses have got you all misled. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't be doing some work. It really means we should be doing some work. Alaska has one well up there that would fill that pipeline at 100% capacity. In case you're wondering, it's been running at the lowest capacity that it actually can be maintained at for a long time. And your federal government does that to you on purpose. It's an evil federal government. America is in the Bible in several ways. You need to figure this out. It was the great nation that Manasseh was predicted to become. Now, I got brothers who say, where are you from? Okay, fine. We can argue about that. That's an argument I'll gladly have. And by the way, I gladly lose it too. I don't care. I mean, I've been wrong before. I'm sure I'll be wrong again. But if I was a Democrat, my God, I couldn't be wrong no matter what. It has to be real. It has to be true. And you have to believe the way I believe. And you have to give my opinion equal weight, but you got to really believe what I believe. You got to give my opinion equal weight to your own. But you got to believe what I believe. Bunch of tyrants. We're in deep trouble. I had 3 dream periods last night. And what I started off saying is, I'll bet Jordan Peterson doesn't know this. And I was using his name as clickbait because I get a lot more views when I put his name in the title. And I'm glad for the man that he's so well known he doesn't have to even put the word doctor in front of his name. I mean, that to me is a major accomplishment when you can leave that shit off the front end. But I'm putting it on mine because you don't know who I am and what I'm about. And you don't know much about me at all. I didn't like Dr. Peterson very much when I first saw him. A friend of mine pointed him out. I'd already seen him, but I hadn't taken a good look at him. And something bothered me about Jordan Peterson. So I went and I looked at it again, and I came to the same conclusion out of my own fear. Call it paranoia if you want. That's okay. I'd rather not use that term. I kind of hate the psychologist terminologies, and I don't like the craft very much at all. It's really descended. I think that's what our fate was. When you look at the symbol, the Greek letter psi looks like a goddamn pitchfork, trident, symbol of the underworld. And psychology has been misused. We've been used to damage the whole world at this point, but we've been used primarily to damage the United States of America and to help change your views and control your asses. Yeah, we help with the brainwashing. We help set you up with these ridiculous conflicts that cannot be resolved. And I mean, psychological principles are used every day on you, every minute of every day. Learn helplessness being the number one thing that I think they like to use on us, because it keeps us paralyzed. So you have to sit on your ass and you can't make a decision and you can't take action. That's what they've done to the American man in particular. And the American woman wanting to dominate, wanting to be dominant bitches, decided you're going to rule the roost. So you're going to make sure the playing field is uneven. You're going to be perpetual victims, just like sociopaths. Sorry, ladies, but that's what they do. The pity party. And the sociopath screams bloody murder while he's beating the shit out of you. You haven't lifted a finger. You didn't strike them. But while they are beating you, while they're battering the hell out of you, they will scream at others to help them and cry that they are the victim, and they indeed are not. Okay, what Jordan Peterson does not know is that psychology is the study of the soul. Now, if he knows that and I'm wrong, I don't mind being corrected. I don't mind getting a little attention. I doubt the gentleman knows me, but that's okay. He has contributed largely, and I like him, and I admire him quite a bit. Did not like him at first. Another psychologist brought him to my attention. I already seen Peterson. I already wrote him off. I didn't like him. Not at first. I did not. Something about the man rankled me. I didn't get a good gut feeling. Of course, when my buddy, a psychologist who helped train me up, a good friend, asked me my opinion on something like that, I know it's important, so I go and take a look. I looked again. I did not like what I saw. There goes the hearing aid on that side. Come on up. Come on back up. Okay, maybe it's just my hearing shifting, the tinnitus, which I suffer from. It's horrible stuff. It'll drive you nuts. It's one of the reasons why I gave up music I don't play much music. I played too loud. I did this largely to myself. I also had a German measles as a child, which gave me mastoiditis, and um, my it was a horrible year of my life. I was in and out of the hospital. Um, they didn't admit me, but it was so painful that I'm glad I don't remember it very well. I just know that I didn't like spending all that time in the hospital, and I remember it was at Fort Carson, Colorado, and I was but about age 6, 5, 6, maybe almost 7, not quite, and they actually treated it and cured me. And prior to my treatment, prior to the cure of me as a young boy, all children getting mastoiditis went deaf, lost their hearing. It's a infection of the inner bone, and the ear is the seat of intelligence. It's whereby you develop your knowledge. And I know that you're going to say, well, you can't say that because you're implying there's something wrong with deaf folks. Well, I'm telling you that their vocabulary is limited and their development is limited because they don't have the tools. They don't have the tool necessary, which is intelligence, which is hearing. So you can get a vocabulary, so you can develop an intelligence. Thank God I can still hear. I have bilateral hearing aids. The left ear was harmed more than the right ear, and that was from shooting 22s one night in the basement when I was about age 10 or so. I forgot my earplugs, and I tried to fashion some earplugs out of a paper bag. We had a lot of paper bags then. It was handy. So I crumpled it up and put it in my ears, and the sound was just too loud in that basement. I was shooting, learning for the NRA, with the NRA, hanging out with older men. My dad made sure that I took gun safety courses, and he went to the class as well, and I'd fall asleep because it was at night and it was in the dark, and I remember driving to and from the place, and I was in about 3rd grade at the time, maybe 4th grade. I really think that we should go back to a gun culture. I think that we should have gun safety, gun training. If you're going to have public education, there should be, and I don't like this organization very much because they have become so corrupt. The gentleman who runs it has become so filthy rich off it. He really ran it into the ground. He should be in prison, far as I can tell. So he ran and he took. I almost became a lifetime member back then, and I wished I had. It cost $200 back then. Heck, I found a rifle I liked back then too. It was a Browning 22, takedown 22, made, of course, original one made in Belgium. It was only $106, and my dad wouldn't let me buy it because you had to have a shotgun to hunt ducks. And that's what mattered to my dad. So we went out and got a shotgun, and it was $65 for a 20 gauge break action Harrington and Richardson single shot. And today the doggone gun is probably worth $265. I got another 20 gauge. I can't complain. That's one area in which I don't lack. I wish I had a better motorhome, a little bit bigger digs, but I love this little thing. It's really cozy. And got a new heater blower motor in it a while back. The heater runs real good. Got 2 space heaters that I throttle back in the low range. I don't run them at 1500 watts. That's just a little too much current through the wire, a little too dangerous. So I run them about half throttle. I think this one's running about 625, 650, and the other one's running about maybe 750. Electricity was cheaper than propane for quite a while. It was just a little bit cheaper. Now they're electricity is going up, and I think propane is going to be cheaper than electricity, but I'm going to use the electricity because I don't want to run out of propane. I want to keep that in reserve because there's a good chance that the electricity will not flow. But the propane, it's in my tank. I got it bait on that. And if I was to get to a piece of property, I'd want a bigger propane tank. I'd want one like President Barack Insane Obama has on Martha's Vineyard. He put such a big propane tank out there, he had to get some special permission slip. Of course, since he's the government's boy, they'll do whatever the hell he wants. They'll give him what he wants. Now, what does Barack and his wife or husband, Michael Obama, what the hell do they know that the rest of us don't know? They're putting in propane tanks. They're telling the rest of us not to use it. It used to be a clean energy, and they touted it, and we have plenty of it. We have to burn it off every day. We have so much of it, so it's going to waste. It has to be burned. It can't just be released. So, why not just put it in the pipe and burn it and put use to it? And they'll tell you to go completely electric, but they go natural gas. If you want to pray for me, I'd like a little bit bigger rig, like a couple of air conditioners instead of one, ducted air conditioning, and I'd like to have heat pumps in it. That would be pretty much luxurious. I'd love to have one of those heated floors. Now that would be luxurious, but I don't need all that. I got what I need, and I'm really grateful for it because it's nice and cozy, and it's older, but it's in really pretty good shape. And I took it out and drove it the other day. Man, that engine purrs. They don't make them like that. It's an old big block Ford cast iron heads, not just cast iron block, and it runs so smoothly you wouldn't believe it. It's got some pep to it, of course. I'm going down the road pretty doggone heavy, but it gets up and moves, but sadly it's getting only about 6 miles to the gallon in the city, in the 6 range. Jordan Peterson probably doesn't understand that psychology is the study of the soul. That's what it means. And that symbol that we have is the trident, the symbol of the underworld. And our powers have been misused. Now, I don't think he knows that either. We have had psychologists, psychiatrists, who have been running these horrible experiments, trying to create super warriors, trying to create super women, too. My God, they're trying to make the ultimate sex kitten. MK Ultra sex slave. Now, in case you're wondering, that stuff really does exist, and it's not taught in psychology at all. We don't cover it. I had to buy some extra books to get into it. We are actually taught not to believe it. It's like a catechism for us. It's like a religion. We're told what to believe, and we're told what to tell you to believe, too. And we're required to get you to become liberal. That's what they've done with this profession. It's been turned against the public more so than any other profession. Yes, the attorneys are a bunch of son of a bitches who don't tell you the truth about the laws. They can't do it. They can't do it and be members of the bar associations because those guys are, they're sworn to help each other out. They're not there to help you and I out. Yes, they're technical bastards. Their expertise is quite good. Some are quite bright. There are even some ethical ones. There are, but they're few and far between. Most of them are unethical. I had 3 attorneys on one auto accident, and the first 2 were unethical as hell. So there's deterioration in all spheres. And as we come to the end of the Earth age, the Earth's children are weaker. The Earth produces strong children at the beginning of an Earth age. Where do I get that from? I get that from the Bible, the Apocrypha books in the Bible that we Protestants saw so fit to take out. Now, if psychology means the study of the soul, why isn't that well known? It's because they've got us all dumbed down. They don't know. They don't want us to know the truth. They don't want scientific exploration and development, and unless they have total control of it and they can exploit it and use it against us. And they use psychology against us. They use the laws and the perversion of the law against us. And above all, they're using that medical profession to actually not just, they're using it to kill us. Think about this, folks. The average death rate from the 1950s until 2020, 2 years ago, was about 500,000 a year. We lost 500,000 Americans in a year. It was less than that at the beginning of that period, but I think the figure 500,000 probably was known in the 60s, maybe the 70s. By the 60s, the studies showed clearly that 400,000 Americans died each year due to medical errors, due to mistakes in the hospitals or with medications, with medical malpractice. So 400,000 of us, out of the 500,000 of us that were dying every year, were getting killed under license by the medical profession. And they were given a medical monopoly. They were given that monopoly by the government. How did they get it? They volunteered for the income tax. They gave us the income tax to a very large extent. And it was only 1% for professional license holders and corporations. And then it went to 2%. And the doctors in the second year of the income tax had a fit because it was doubled. Psychology does indeed mean the study of the soul, and we haven't done a good job of studying it. We don't even acknowledge the truth, our own reality. We've had the MK Ultra sex slave program going on for decades. It got brought over to the United States of America from Germany. One of the ugliest things they ever brought over into the country. In case you're wondering who was involved in it, I can tell you 2 people. One of whom is deceased, and the other one is still alive today. That would be Henry Kissinger. And the other gentleman was Bob Hope. Of all people, Bob Hope. If you go watching the Eyes Wide Shut, whatever that movie was on the Illuminati that got the gentleman, the producer, killed, Stanley Kubrick was killed over that movie, you'll see that the host of the party was dressed up in a mask of Bob Hope. You see, they put that shit in front of your face all the time. They do that to inoculate you. That's your psychological immunization that you're getting. Why? So that you'll laugh at Bob Hope. You won't realize what an ugly dude he was. You want to know how ugly he was? Then go buy a book written by a woman under the name of Bryce Taylor. Beautiful name. Bryce. Taylor. Just like my middle name. I am Dr. John Taylor Kent. Bryce Taylor was the name she wrote under. And I bought a copy of the book. I paid $50 for it. Large format, 8.5 by 11 inch. Large format, thick book. It's paperback, $50 for the paperback. It originally published at $40. I didn't like paying more, but I wanted a copy of the book after my friend's wife handed me her copy. And I couldn't read it. It was that ugly. It was that horrible. I felt that lousy and that miserable, knowing that kind of shit's going on. And psychologists are required to deny it. What the hell's wrong with psychologists? That they're going to deny a major thing that's going on. Oh, that's right. We're part of the power structure. Doctors being the king of the hill, since they're busy killing us, and they insist upon getting paid 2.5 times more than the next highest paid profession in the land. That would be your legal beagles, your attorneys, your bar association members who shouldn't even be citizens here in this country. Actually, according to law, they're not citizens. We just have to dig that original 13th Amendment up and apply it fully. And then you got your third profession. And I wanted to say for a second there's a toss-up between the dentist and the psychologist. It's definitely the psychologist. By the way, all of these professions have pretty high rates of suicide. They have significant numbers of suicides. And right up there with them are your police officers. And then right up there with them is the American soldier. And right after there is the American co-ed. Yeah, they're doing it more seriously every day. And then right after that is a budding group that will surpass them all. Those are your children that you're screwing up with this trans crap. Those are the ones you're doing the physical, biochemical experiments on, who will eventually hate and loathe themselves and loathe their very lives. We had a psychologist named Dr. Money who did a couple of grand experiments on it, and both of his experiments ended in suicides. Yeah. About 14 years from now, 20 years from now, or is that one score? One score. Hell, I don't even remember what a score is anymore. Could be 20 years. I'm trying to remember the Gettysburg Address that starts off so many score and whatever it was. Oh, the 14-verse sonnet overrides my memory a little bit right now. And 20 years pops up for some reason. Okay, I gotta go look it up. Overload of information. The field of psychology has been used to destroy America. And I don't know if Jordan Peterson still has a license or not, but if he doesn't, it's because he's so popular and so well known, and they won't let him practice, if that's the case. Your psychologist who was on the television for a while there, I keep seeing those pictures pop up, praying for that doctor. I don't remember his name. Folks, we in the United States of America had the best psychology in the world, the best psychology on the planet, the first half of the 20th century. We were the top. We had the best labs, the best science, the best developments going on, and we ruled the roost. And to a large extent, it was because of psychology that we were able to mobilize for the world wars. We developed testing on a grand scale, and we tested a lot of people with the ASVAB. I can't remember what it stands for, but it's the ASVAB. Army Services or something like that, or Armed Services. We tested them so we could see who was going to be officer material, who had aptitudes for different things, so we could maximize their talents. We could not do that today. It would be considered discriminatory. It would somehow be ruled illegal today with this wokeism. Psychology was the king of the roost, and we were held in higher regard. We with PhDs, with doctorates of philosophy in psychology, were held in higher esteem than the psychiatrists for quite a while. That got changed. And the year of change was approximately 1983. At that point, we put the psychiatrist in charge. However, we psychologists did this to ourselves. You see, in 1952, we came out with the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. I think it was only 50 or 52 pages at the time, the first edition. It wasn't very big. And the problem was, we built that research, and we did the research for the drug companies, for Big Pharma, Excuse me. We did the research to support the medical model. And you got some dumb jackasses. One of them I can think of in particular who was on the psychology board in Arizona, Gary Lovejoy, who doesn't understand this shit. He's a stupid liberal jackass. He went after me several times, so there's a little bit of a personal thing. And I did mention his name on the radio many times as Loveboy instead of Lovejoy. It just kind of slipped. I couldn't stop myself. It was live radio. You need to understand that these liberals, when they find out you're conservative, they won't let you practice again. They do their best to destroy you because they don't believe in coexistence. They require you to cave in. They require you to go their ways. They're a bunch of tyrants. And they don't understand psychology very well, and they're not very effective practitioners. They don't understand the roots of psychology. They don't understand their craft. And as a result, they hand it over to the psychiatrist like Lovejoy wants to do. A lot of those people wish they could prescribe medications. They've actually got better tools, if they're any good. And the conservatives that I've run into are pretty doggone good. It used to be about 15% of the profession back when I was studying. Now it's not even 5% of the profession. So don't go looking for a conservative psychologist. And the liberal psychologist will do damage to you. I can guarantee it. His value system is so different that he won't be able to stop himself. He's kind of crazy. He's kind of mentally ill. You know? So you've got these psychologists and these psychology boards that now regard psychology records as medical records. They aren't medical records. They should be kept separate. They shouldn't be mainstream. But in case you're wondering, don't go to the psychologist because their notes go into the beast system just like everything else does. Yes, your medical records go into the electronic system. Your psychology records, everything goes into the medical system at this point. It was Barack Insane Obama who set that up, that major plank of the Communist Manifesto, which I believe was controlling their medical care. Folks, it really does need to be decentralized. The medical people should not have a monopoly. There's better care in countries like Ecuador, in Colombia. There's better treatment in other countries that you regard as lesser and inferior. Why is there better treatment? Because by law, you have to go to the homeopathic alternative practitioners first. And by the way, that's covered by their insurance. They're far more civil than the bastards in America, the bastards running America. So their insurance covers going to the homeopathic people. And by law, if the homeopathic people fail, then they are the ones that refer you to the allopathic people. Now, what's allopathic medicine? It's medicine based upon poisons and toxins, principles of toxicity, cut, slash, and burn. It's not a very good treatment method at all. As you can see, it's been killing 80% of the population for several decades, and now they've increased it. Our death rate is increasing at such a velocity that they're not going to be able to hold on to it and keep track of it. Unexplained, sudden deaths are just moving up massively. When you look at the stats for last year, it was somewhere on the order of 460,000 more people died than normal. That's almost double. When you look at the stats for this year, I might not have it quite right. I did the calculations a while back, and I didn't write it down, and I certainly don't have a great memory. So it might have been about 450,000 that died. Excess deaths above the normal 500,000. So you're just shy of 1 million. I remember that. This next year, or actually this next calculation period for this year we're in right now, 2022, I did this math and I came up with 960,000 extra deaths above the 500,000. And of course, the year afterwards, it goes up exponentially. And I did the calculations. I think I came up, and it's not as reliable. It's a little further out. I came up with a guesstimate of about 1.5, 1.6 million. Maybe it was 2 million. I don't even remember. All I know is it goes up faster. And there's a woman in Nova Scotia who's a nurse who tried to get the numbers out. And I've mentioned those before. And she had a huge number. We used to make jokes about the Nova Scotia people. Oh no, maybe she was from Newfoundland. That's right, Newfoundland. We used to make Newfie jokes. Canadians make Newfie jokes, and when you're up in New England, you'll hear Newfie jokes. Very beautiful, very lovely woman, incredible integrity. Got a great husband behind her. She's trying to tell the truth and she's getting censored. Now, I'm not going to repeat that stuff here because we're not allowed to discuss that because this is part of the beast system. I'm communicating to you through the beast. I'm using YouTube to get this message out there. It's a very fragmented message this morning. I'm not very proud of it. The sun is starting to break through finally. I want you to understand, I had 3 different dream periods last night. And my philosophy, my life look, my view upon dreams, if you will, is that you are dreaming about possible futures. I believe we actually dream those possibilities. And I do believe that it's possible that we can choose from those futures. We can guide ourselves in certain directions. Okay? So what I'm trying to tell you is there's hope. There's hope to avoid the calamities we dream about, for one. And in my dreams, my last dreams, I was being catered to by some people. I was being taken care of, and I was asking for favors, and I think I asked for something about air pressure or something like that. Okay, probably reflective of the fact I just made sure that the tire pressure was good in my rig so I can take off on a moment's notice. I got more work to get done on the rig, so I'm going to have to drive it a bit. And it's good to keep it in good running shape. And with gas being so dear, just think about it. In town, I'm getting 6 miles to the gallon. That's costing me about $1 per gallon almost in the city to run. And of course, if you're out on the highway, I'm sure the prices are so expensive it's close to $1 a mile for fuel out there too. A ridiculous level. And so you leftists who insist on dominating the world with your worldview, insisting that your perception is right, your perception is actually quite wrong. It's actually quite the opposite of what you're thinking and trying to foist off on the rest of us. So, my second set of dreams was not very good. It was more prison-like. And of all things, there was a bark in the dark. The dog barked in the night. She barked rather loudly. She wanted to go potty. I can't help but wonder if my dog might not be in tune with me and might have realized that, hey, buddy, that's not a good dream. Let's get you up. The first dream was okay. I don't remember what it was, but it was rather nice. I got 2 blankets on the bed. I got a new coverlet on the bed. I've got the vent for the heater opened up. I've got the temperature set. So I'm not using too much propane because I will be burning it and I'll have to get a fill every other week. It's questionable as to whether or not they're going to continue to deliver propane. They told me that in Mesa, it's illegal for them, according to the city, for them to fill my tank up, except there at the grounds. So you can't just park for the winter and have propane delivered to your motorhome and have your Class A built-in tank filled up anymore in Mesa. It's getting pretty weird. But I'm not parked in Mesa. I'm not even in that damn Maricopa County. I don't like it down there. The people are just too weird. Um, it's a really strange place. I have respect for the Phoenix cops. They're actually pretty decent. Even people that don't like cops much have respect for the Phoenix Police Department. We don't care too much for the leadership. We don't care much for the politics at all. But we find that the rank and file does a pretty good job. It's a shame their numbers are down so low. I'm just too scattered to do this properly this morning, and I'm interrupting my own flow too much. So I'm going to call it right now. And I'm not even going to bother to put clickbait on this thing. I'm not very proud of this one. I'm going to try to see if I can. Now, my other channel has been up the whole time, and that's called Awakening Israel. By the way, if you want to improve your lot, you can change it, and you can change it by your programming. And in case you want to know, if you put garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. Garbage in, garbage out. So if you want to program up your computer the best you can, then buy my Bible. Oh, sorry, puppy dog. She's right underneath my chair. I stepped on her. All she wants to do is be close to me like my last dog. That's my Bible. Notice the King James Bible is in all capitals at the bottom. And the proper name version of thee is in upper and lower case. That's important because a lot of you out there say, well, you just want to stick with the King James Bible. Well, this is the King James Bible. It lacks the Apocrypha like the original King James gave us in 1611. But otherwise, it's far better than the original King James English. This is written in modern English. The translations, there's subtle differences. It's more accurate, far more accurate. More importantly, we've got the proper name of Yahweh, Creator, Father in here, and the real name of the Savior, which would be Yahshua. Both start with Y-A-H in modern English. Yah is their nickname, and that Yah is the same as the German word for yes. Yah. Jawohl. Yes, sir. I want you to buy the Bible. That's how you can support my channel. More importantly, I want you to read it. I want you to read the stories. You don't have to take it literally, but my recommendation is that you take it literally for what it says in a concrete sense, and only later start to look at things as being, well, they mean that spiritually, because most of this is literal, and it is somewhat encoded. The Bible does not, sadly, reveal itself to the casual reader. And if you expect to go pick up study guides, forget it. They're biased. There's nothing out there that's worth much when it comes to that. Now, I think my channel, Awakening Israel, I think the videos I produce are worth something, because you're going to get a different perspective. I'm going to be I brainstorm. I tell you the possible meanings. I tell you what I really think, even if it's on the fringe. For instance, there are people in outer space, and I base it off one word in the book of Genesis, one verse in the book of Genesis, and that is, this is the story about the generations on the earth and in the heavens. So mortals, generations are mortals, so there's mortals up in the heavens as well. Quiet. Good girl. Okay, we're going to call it right now. This is just going to be morning musings with Dr. Kent. That's all there is to it. It really started off with a better cut at first. I'll probably put it up there as well. Oh, we'll have something to consider. Think about it. Psychology means the study of the soul. You have got... No, I'm not going to pet you. She's very forceful. Sit. You've got psychologists out there that have been hobbled. They're not allowed to study and understand and know the full spectrum. The fields are all top down dictated to at this point. That's how psychology ended up taking second tier, second rung to psychiatry. I don't like psychology today very much. I loathe psychiatry. Sure, there's an occasional nugget or two there, but not much. It's really a bit obscure. I want you to read the Bible, because in doing that, you're going to be programming yourself up with, you're going to be putting good stuff in. And you may find that you get good stuff out, and maybe even in short order. You're going to find that it speaks to you differently than it speaks to me. That there's other meanings. There's other things that your eye is going to be drawn to than what my eye is drawn to. You're going to have different understanding. And share that with us. You see, that's when the Holy Spirit comes into play with all of this. Is when two or more are gathered in my name. Folks, you got to talk. And I realize in this day and age of censorship that we cannot talk freely and we cannot exercise our freedom of religion. It wasn't a freedom from religion that was written into the Constitution. It was a freedom to religion, because we had different churches in the different states. And the churches didn't get along all that good, and we did not need that conflict. We basically all agreed upon the Bible. And there were basic understandings which our founders had, which we do not have today, because the churches have been taken over and they lie to you. They tell you all men came from Adam. That's not biblical. A lot of men came from Adam. And a lot of what we call men today came from a fallen angel named Gadriel. And if you shorten his name up, you get the name Gad, his nickname. And if you shorten it up a little bit more, you get the word God. And so, in 275 BC, when Ptolemy II was producing the Septuagint, he took the name of Yahweh out and substituted it with the name God throughout. So he adulterated the Bible. He threw it off. And that's what the proper name version of the Bible corrects. It puts it back in. Now, that doesn't mean everything is explained. Everything is easily understood, because there's a lot more to be learned. But we've got the better Bible today. Definitely better. And the prices are cheap. If you follow my link down below, you'll see it takes you to the page. And there'll be a drop-down box. And every price will end in 77 cents. That's how they keep separate my sales from their sales. And my sales, I'm told, not very many. I sold a Bible or two. I know that because two women told me about buying it, and the publisher told me I sold the Bible, and he couldn't remember where the sale came from, but I know where it came from. And if you buy one, let me know. I appreciate it. I haven't bothered to tap into that account. I'm not making any money. I'm not off it. I would really like to be able to fund a nice diesel pusher, a nice rig, and travel the country and meet people and talk. That's what I'd like to do. I don't think there's anything more that I enjoy than talking about the truth that is in the Bible. I mean, when we hang out together and we discuss things openly and freely and we brainstorm, man, some of the things we come up with are so rich, so powerful, so wonderful. And in case you're wondering, we can establish the kingdom of heaven upon the earth. We have to take it back from the evil one and his children, though. That fight is detailed in this book, in the Old Testament. And so these people who banter around telling you that all the prophecy's been filled, and they insist they know what's in the Bible, and they insist that they know it all, don't believe them. Don't trust them. Run away from them. Sit with the Bible yourself. The Bible will reveal itself to you. The Bible translates itself, if you will. The Bible will tell you what it's about. You'll read it and you'll see another verse in another area that will clarify things for you. And when you get to my level and you see the conflicts, you'll realize that you've got to take it up to a whole new level. You have to up your game at that point. That's another level of understanding. This is the foundation of Western civilization. Western civilization that is being challenged. And things are not as they seem. America is in the Bible. We were the great nation, blessed with the numbers. We've gone past that. We've been taken over from within by an enemy that hates us from the outside. That's why things are so screwed up. That enemy controls all of those damn politicians in D.C. and the ones in the state governments as well. And they control most of a large number of prosecuting attorneys at this point. You need to understand that the enemy did go after the Jews, and the enemy's going after the rest of us, and they're hiding as best they can. They have censored the literature, even in the translation of the Bible, so that we would not know of their existence. In case you're wondering, they came from Cain. Cain was fathered by Gadriel. Gadriel was a fallen angel, but he wasn't the only fallen angel. There were 200 of those fallen bastards, and they conspired on Mount Hermon. And they even decided that they wouldn't even talk about this conspiracy among themselves once they left the mountain, lest anyone overhear them and their conspiracy become known. And so they live among us freely. They are the tares that were sown in the field. Yes, Eve succumbed. Yes, she gave birth to Cain. Yes, Cain murdered his half-brother Abel. Half-brother. Abel was fathered by Adam. Cain was not. And as a result of it, we ended up with the Canaanites in the Promised Land. And the Israelites were told not to intermarry with them for good reason. And they had genetic anomalies, quite literally. It's a physical DNA thing. And Joshua was told to kill them. All of them in some cases. Other places, he was ordered not to kill them all. And you're going to say, well, that's a mean God. Jesus would never do that. Or the God of the New Testament's a different God. He wouldn't do that. Well, there was reason why he did that. There was good reason why he did that. He worked with those people for at least 4 centuries before he sent the Israelites in after them. And a lot of that evil came right out of Egypt. You need to understand most of those myths that you've been told about, those myths, have a basis in reality. The stories in the Bible, the people in the Bible, those have a basis in reality. It's not easily understood, and a lot of people knock this book. And I can't blame them because of all the garbage that's been tossed about, bannered about in all of the wars. The fight between good and evil is real. You are the battlefield. Read this book. Pray. Seek to understand the truth that is in the Bible. And your life will be coming around a bit better, a bit more. Do as I do and count your blessings, dwell on them. I mean, I got a space heater running next to me at about 600 watts, I think, right now. It's putting out just enough warm air to break the chill. It's kind of nice. The dog likes it too. She's getting near it. You know, life is pretty good. I got a freshly made bed, 2 blankets on it. I can, if I do not have a means to heat this rig, I can at least sleep in warmth. I don't like it when it goes below 40 degrees. It went below 40 degrees the night before last here. But I can keep myself warm. There's a lot of people in Europe that aren't going to be able to keep themselves warm as a direct result of the action of the beast system that now dominates the United States of America. You don't have control over this government. I've been preaching too much to put this up on the Dr. John Taylor Kent channel. It goes up on Awakening Israel as morning musings. And I am going to mention Jordan Peterson's name just to get the clickbait. And I'm going to do my best to gather myself together and put up a better, more cohesive video upon what psychology means and how psychology has let this nation down. You need to remember, the field of psychology has been misused against you. The gentleman who developed learned helplessness, that was used against you. In my opinion, his research was taken underground and has not been published because it's unethical. And he is the guy who set up all of this crap that's going on. So they actually probably got his technique of breaking the steel of the mind, breaking the metal, breaking the temper of the mind. You know, like steel is tempered. You can break the temper of that steel by pushing it in one direction and then pushing it in the other direction. You push it in each direction, back and forth, just like you push the American public opinion, back and forth. It does two things. To you, it paralyzes you so you cannot take action. You're stuck. You don't know what to think. You have no idea what to do. You cannot take action. We got you paralyzed. We got you where we want you. The second thing is that eventually that steel temper, the temper of that steel is broken. And your mind breaks a lot like that tempered steel. So they push you in one direction and they push you in the other direction. And they also do their best when they do their mischief to give you so much evidence that nobody can figure the crime out. They did that at 9/11. They did that during the Kennedy assassination. They do that all the time so that they have several different rabbit holes to send us down and confuse us and to keep us off track. We almost caught them in the Kennedy assassination. The physician who doctored up the corpse that eventually was buried underneath the eternal flame. Yeah, if I was president, that'd be one of my first orders. I want President Kennedy's body exhumed. I want a forensic analysis. And I want to find Officer Tippit, who resembled President Kennedy so well. I want to find his body. I want to find out what happened to him. And then as far as that physician goes, I doubt he's alive today. The man who did the autopsy alteration, if you will, the pre-autopsy work, he took his family and they ran towards Mexico. And he stopped shy of going to Mexico because he thought he wasn't going to be able to get away with what he was hired to do. He was going to get caught. Yep, the same people that assassinated Kennedy run the country today. The same people did 9/11. The same people set up these mass shootings, many of which are false flags. That's my belief. That's my opinion. I have a free speech right to be able to say that. My free speech rights and your free speech rights actually go further than that. If you look up Brandenburg, it's easy to remember the name Brandenburg Gate in Germany. If you look up Brandenburg, You'll see that in the Supreme Court ruling that they said Brandenburg's speech was protected. Brandenburg's speech was real hate speech. I mean, he said things that I can't repeat. I won't even go read it, as a matter of fact. But he said things about, well, things that I can't repeat. You'd get upset here if I said those. Even the speech in which you're uttering that others should be put to death is protected speech under the First Amendment according to precedent at the Supreme Court. If you can't speak freely, how can you even have a conscience? How can you develop a conscience? How can you develop a consensus if you can't speak freely? You cannot do that. You have mental dictators today. Mental dictators. You've got these big corporations that are part of the beast system, owned by the same people, intent upon destroying. Right now they're destroying America. They've destroyed America. It's all over here. Y'all can't think straight. You've been dumbed down way too much. You think that you understand things and your opinion matters more. And the sad thing is that you've been dumbed down, poisoned, physically poisoned, spiritually poisoned, psychologically poisoned. You want to overcome your brainwashing? Read my Bible.